Good evening everybody, and welcome to this Sandwich Town Council Planning Committee meeting in our council chamber on Wednesday the 13th of September 2023. Item 1, apologies for absence received.
Thank you very much, Chair. So we have apologies from Councillor Morehouse, Local District Council, Councillor Black and Nicky Warden.
Okay. Item 2, declaration of interest. To receive any declaration of disclosable pecuniary interest from members in respect of business to be transacted on the agenda.
Sorry. Is that? Oh no, I beg your pardon.
Right.
Ignore it.
Item 3. Minutes of the Planning Committee. To approve the minutes of the Planning Committee held on 9th of August 2023 and to consider any matters arising from those minutes not covered elsewhere in this agenda.
Yeah, I wasn't at the meeting, but item P08 237, which was the street furniture application for the forecourt. Was there any clarification about whether that was a new application or a renewal of an existing application?
Yes, so my understanding after speaking to the licensing team is that there is an existing licence in place, but it's the name of the person applying has changed. So there was an existing, but now there's a new proprietor, and so there's been a new application submitted. It is a change of name.
Okay. Proposed acceptance of the minutes.
I'll second it. All in favour? Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Item 4.
Matters arising.
Okay.
I have 3 points to make. The first, Mr. Chair, is that I emailed you about 2 issues I had with the last meeting and you didn't reply.
No, I told you that when I saw you.
You said I don't do responses.
No.
I don't think that's acceptable.
Well, I'll tell you what happened. I was selling charity tickets and you come and approach me and I was really annoyed because there is a time and place for everything and that wasn't the time or the place.
And you said you would come back to me.
Oh yes, I know. I said I'll come back to you. I haven't forgotten.
But it's too late now. The second issue is the things that were in the email. The tree warden's specific recommendations weren't discussed. And in my view, that's your responsibility. And I don't know why they weren't included, because she has a right to be heard.
We normally read the report, don't we?
Well,
Was you at that meeting?
no, I listened to it online.
Yes.
She did make a couple of recommendations and they weren't discussed, and I'd just like to know why.
I think those recommendations were carried out though.
I don't think they were, but perhaps she'll enlighten us if she's watching. If trees fail to survive after 5 years, they must be replaced. I don't recall that being mentioned.
I don't think we actually spoke, but we did note her report.
You noted it, but did her comments go forward? I don't believe they did. And I don't believe there was any discussion
No discussion on her report.
on those specific items. Planting double staggered.
The water park, you know?
Water park, that's right.
Is that what you're on about? Water
Yes.
park.
Yeah.
That's long ago, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
The tree's only been in there, how long has it been? A year?
That's not the point.
They haven't. It's just the whole thing hasn't been carried out. The planting programme hasn't been carried out as it should have done.
Yeah.
And then I reported back to this committee meeting, so I'd spoken with the gentleman who owns the park, and he said that DDC had allowed him a delay in continuing the programme, but they will be monitoring that he does undertake the work.
Yeah.
That's what I reported back to the meeting.
That doesn't cover her specific points with respect.
Well, it's
so
being
they were
monitored by
ignored.
Dover District Councillors.
Her comments were ignored, and I think
I don't
that's
think they
wrong.
were.
Mr. Mayor, can I just suggest something? I do believe every time the voluntary tree warden puts something in place is to receive a note what's been put. And I do believe those notes that she has put does go to Dover District Council for the Planning Committee. However, as I said with the White Mill stuff, they are, as Councillor the Mayor said, Mr. Mayor said, that the planning team do look into that what the voluntary tree warden has said. and they are keeping a close eye on what the outline is as part of the application.
I don't believe there's anything that talks about the trees failing, and my concern is that it wasn't discussed and the specific point wasn't commented on by this committee and no comment was made.
I think the point is, we get the written report from the tree warden, and we forward her report on with our other comments to the planning committee, don't we?
Yeah.
And that's what happens.
Her recommendations weren't commented on.
No, not being commented, but they've been referred to the planning committee, Dover District Council.
Okay, and my third point is that when the discussion took place at the sandwich shop applying for 12 chairs and tables, a discussion ensued about other outlets making applications and how that would be affected. I believe that's predetermination and the chair should stop that discussion, and that didn't happen.
We already had a planning application or discussion, have we?
From the sandwich shop.
Yeah, and another one. And we're worried about, it wasn't predetermination at all, because we've already had requests for other tables and chairs out there.
I believe it was predetermination.
I don't believe it
because
was,
we
so I
should
don't
only
agree with
discuss
you at
one
all.
item.
I don't agree with you at all.
Could the town clerk advise?
Can I take this point away and get in contact with you equally so that we can get this cleared up? I'm happy to do that.
Well, as long as we publicly announce what's said afterwards, because I think it's important for people to know whether there was predetermination or not.
Yeah, I'll come back to you, Mrs.
Okay.
We didn't even discuss it, did we?
In my view, Mr. Chair, I do apologise, is that the discussion was about obviously the chairs and tables, and other establishments were mentioned regarding possibly making the square cluttered with lots of chairs and tables.
Yeah.
However, we do want a cafe culture for the square, but we, as it was mentioned, that we need to be cautious of how many go on the square and who from.
Yeah.
I do apologise, Jim. In my personal opinion is I don't think it was predetermination. It was just a mentioning that other establishments
We're
could.
interested.
It was
I mean,
specifically discussed that if we give 12 tables and chairs to them, we have to give them to everybody else. That's predetermination in my view.
Yeah, I'll take it away and look at the context of what you're saying and then I'll get back to you.
Will that be will the answer be publicly known as
Yes.
Mrs. Hudson
Yes.
has asked?
Yes, in the next
Thank you.
meeting.
Anything else?
No, that's it, thank you.
Item 5, we've got any public questions,
No.
Item 5, planning application. Application plans and papers can be viewed via the Dover District Council website. Planning application reference number 23/00928, proposed replacement pitch roof to existing garage, location land adjacent to Honeysuckle Cottage, 5 Vicarage Lane, Sandwich, CT39HJ.
I proposed recommendation for this. Sandwich Town Council has got an unofficial policy not to allow flat roofs in the conservation area, and so I don't know if they'd applied before, but I seem to remember they've applied before, but it's something that we should recommend, pitch roof on garage in the conservation area. I was there, oh yeah, sorry, beg your pardon, but yeah, I would strongly recommend that we allow this to go through, which will be in keeping with property in the conservation area.
Yeah, I'll second it. All strongly support this, don't we? Oh, you're second it. Councillor Fortescue.
That's the second, yeah, so the Mayor proposed, Councillor Fortescue.
Yeah, we're all in favour of this. Strongly support it, thank you.
Yeah, support.
Planning application reference number 23/01057, proposed erection of a rear dormer to facilitate loft conversion, location H Tran Street, Sandwich, Kent, CT39DZ.
Yeah, I was going to say I proposed recommendation for this property. I noted that apparently although the others in the same street are listed, this property isn't listed. It's in the heritage statement, it did say it was being undertaken in keeping with the properties in the area. It's only to the rear of the property, so it won't be seen in the main High Street. But I think we ought to make a note of the next door neighbour said about if they're putting scaffolding up, they would like advance notice because the scaffolding would have to go on the next door neighbour's property. And flat roof. So I think that's important to know, the recommendations, but the neighbour hadn't complained, so as there was no complaint.
I think it was a 1920s house, it's not really an old heritage house,
It
it's
isn't.
the old house, but knocked down all the way to the road, so. Another one?
I wonder if John Hennessy from the local history has any thoughts on this or comments?
Well, it's one of a pair of semi-detached houses, I believe, isn't it? And you cannot, this particular roof could only be seen if you were walking along the pathway adjacent to the river. And if you looked through the maze of fencing and plants, you could probably see it. The house next door has already got a sort of extension on it anyway, so it's not going to make a massive difference. I'm thinking it was. Councillor Carter says it's certainly not visible from the front at all.
Sorry.
We're in favour of that.
Support, yes.
Yeah, fully support this application, yeah. Okay, thank you. Planning application reference number 23/01010. Proposal to repoint front elevation, including brickwork repairs and removal of paint finish to exposed brickwork. Location 20 New Street, Sandwich, CT 39AB. It's a compelling cottage, isn't it?
It's
Yeah,
not
that's
nice
great.
cottage,
And I think it's a good idea because apparently the paint that's on the map doesn't breathe, does it?
No, I think the paint's already been removed, Mr Chairman, and the brickwork's exposed. Some of the bricks are quite badly damaged, including a couple of areas of missing brick underneath the window, the downstairs window. So I think that it's only going to improve it, and I was very pleased to see that they've taken down the cast iron sign that used to be displayed on the front, saying it was Tom Haynes Cottage, and they clearly displayed it in the window. Because this is a building which is very beloved of our American visitors when they come here. A lot of them want to see it because of the
I think
historic.
from the 1950s it actually had a bracket with a sign hanging actually over the pavement. Yeah, so I quite like that because it's quite visible. Then when you looked up you can see it. Yeah. That's all it was.
I mean, it does look quite a mess at the moment.
Yeah.
I'm assuming they're going to be scrubbing or cleaning the bricks in some way,
Yeah.
and then pointing it with lime water. Fully support the application.
Yeah.
I'd second that. It says that they were going to clean off. They said there was they were going to remove all the lime wash and repoint the front. And it's bring it back to how it should have really been, because originally it would have been painted over. So I see if Collins, Councillor Wiles is proposing that, I'll recommend it. That's seconded.
Shall we support this then? All in favour of that? Yeah. Thank you. Planning application reference number 23/00927. Proposal erecting a two-storey side extension, two-storey side and rear extension, alteration to flat fenestration, demolition of park front boundary wall to create a secondary vehicle access with associated parking. Location 33 St George's Road, Sandwich. I think that was former Mayor's house, which I was
That's right, Charles Minister. Actually, on this particular application, when I looked at the actual views of the different projections and different sites, I had some concerns that the development is actually extremely close to the neighbour's property, and I'm just wondering whether it's legal for the amount of space that they've left between this current property and the next property. Also taking down the wall and allowing a bit more parking on the front. It's very close to the corner on St George's Road near the Catholic chapel there. My preferred, I'm not going to put a proposal forward, but all I'd say is I think it's overdevelopment of the property myself. And as I say, when you look at the plans from above, it shows it's extremely close to the property next door. although I will note that the neighbour did put in a comment saying she was happy with the neighbours, but that's all I put in.
Councillor?
I'd agree with that. I think just looking at the plans, it does look to me like a very large increase in the footprint of the property and the height as well, and it's right against the boundary wall. But then the neighbour, I know her, she was a volunteer at Gaze and Salt, so I trust her judgment unless she's been influenced in some way. But yeah, I'm not quite clear about this one. I think it's a tricky one.
I was just going to say, sorry to come back, Jen. I wasn't actually able to see when I went past it today whether the house to the side of it, which is closest, whether it had windows. I was just wondering about loss of light. Yeah.
I looked at it as well today, and all they're doing is more doing away with part of the lawn, aren't they? And the drive, they're just sort of widening the driveway really, by about 2 metres or so. So personally, if the neighbour's not objecting, I think that you would support it. If the neighbour's not objecting,
The neighbours supporting.
and supporting it, yeah. So, and there's all different houses down St George's Road, aren't they? There's so many catches, massive big houses, isn't there?
They've all been extended or changed in some way.
Yeah.
Apart from mine.
Yeah, got bungalows turned into big. So we can support this or?
Well, I suppose I ought to declare an interest because I live about 60 metres away.
I mean, if the neighbours are happy, which I think Councillor Larson said, then I'll propose supporting it.
That's proposed, was it?
Yeah,
Sorry.
I think in a second, yeah.
Can I just have my vote against recorded? So,
Oh, you do,
so,
yeah,
yeah,
do
sorry,
it.
so I think it's over to
Can we have a vote on that? Who's for it then?
I'll abstain.
Three, two.
Four, thank you.
2 abstentions and 1 against.
Yeah.
Yep.
Planning application reference number 23/01039 amended. Proposal. Alterations include basement damp treatment, insert brick floor, built-in storage and ladder access, ground floor, replace staircase, insert partitions into a new opening, replace 2 doors, alteration of fireplace hearth, first floor, remove and insert new partitions, replace 2 doors, alter staircase, insert fitted library and window seats, reinstate rear window, second floor, insert partitions, alter staircase, insert built-in cupboards, replace under bedroom door, location 39 Strand Street, Sandwich.
Yeah, I was happy to recommend this one. It's all mainly internal works, and some of the works are required in order for the fabric of the building to be maintained. So I believe that it should go ahead. So I recommend.
Mr. Chairman, yeah, this is Harfleet House, part of the iconic building pilgrims. In the basement there is, or used to be, a brick built hideaway, which was purported to have been a hideaway for a gang of 12 smugglers who could hide in it. And there also used to be a pillar which supported the roof above, which has absolutely identical construction to one in the crypt of Canterbury Cathedral. And it was thought that masons of Canterbury Cathedral were invited to come on to Sandwich, where they did some work on St Clement's Church, the stonework, and some work on this property. And I don't know if those features have been preserved or not. But they also spent many happy evening in there. There's a fabulous fireplace.
Yeah.
There's a side window which isn't mentioned here, which is reported to be a galley window, but it wasn't. Galley from a back of a ship. But it's got wonderful pieces of stained glass and things, and they don't talk about that here. But you know, it has the mayor says it's internal work, but some of these features in
I
these
do know
places-
this house very well because
Yeah.
it's lucky it didn't ever collapse out into Strand Street. 'Cause I believe
Yeah.
they had Heritage Lottery funded and nearly £1 million there in the late 80s and 90s. So when you look at the door frame, there's a massive great oak beam they put across. I think originally there was 22 beams, and over the years there's only 5 left remaining holding all the rest of the house up. And that's what started to put it. And I believe they did have a printing press for black shirts in the cellar. So,
And if there are some historical features, and it sounds as though there are, shouldn't we clarify that these are being maintained and looked after?
nothing wrong with the floor.
No. That's completely unreasonable. Don't we have people who check that these things are being kept and looked after?
They do.
The only-
Yeah, sorry, if these properties, if they're within the conservation area, they are checked. So we've got a heritage officer at Dover District Council, and if it's listed, and particularly of this
Yes,
building,
yeah.
then the heritage officer would check to see if there's.
Would we normally then have a heritage statement in with the application?
Well, I'm not sure if they're doing that now. Previously, you could be correct, Mrs. Sumhays, they used to actually send 2 applications in. One was the planning application, one was the heritage application, but that, I don't know what's happened. I don't know if the town clerk can find out, but that seems to have stopped recently. We used to have 2 applications for each
Yeah.
property.
You still need listed building consent, so if it's not listed, then you wouldn't necessarily need a second. So, but if it's listed, you usually have a listed building consent application and a planning
And planning
application.
application, yeah.
And I believe on the application it did say that it's willing to let people view the property.
But if it's not listed, isn't there a mechanism for
It will be
ensuring?
listed.
It will be listed.
It is listed.
It is
Great
listed.
one.
Yeah, even if it's like my own experience is, even if it's not listed, but it's in the region of a listed building, then it also has the heritage people involved, and you have to have a separate planning application.
And do we have that?
Well, this is an amended proposal, isn't it? So it's already been accepted. Councillor?
Yeah, I think the heritage statement is within the plans that have been submitted.
Yeah.
So what the plans do is show the modern additions
Mm.
and the proposed changes, which from what I can see is to remove the modern additions and replace them with more suitable.
Yeah, better doors and furniture. isn't it?
I mean, I've been inside this house and it's an amazing property.
Beautiful.
inside, but I think I would support this, but conditional upon the heritage officer visiting and making sure that it's all being done correctly.
Proposal.
Yeah, I'd already proposed it.
Yeah, seconded it.
Colin monitors seconding that, but with that caveat that the heritage officer checks this application to make sure that the items that John Hensey and Mrs. Sumhays raised are retained.
Yeah, all in favour of that? For that? Unanimous. Okay. Planning application reference number 23/00950, proposal insertion of first floor window to side elevation and partial garage conversion, location 45 Whitefriars Meadow Sound, CT 13 9AS. It's
So I would propose recommendations for this. The main bedroom upstairs at the back has only got 1 window, so this would give additional light to it. Also, I was worried about the loss of parking, but it's actually at the bottom end of Whitefriars Meadow, where there's the cul-de-sac where there's the parking. There's also the garages nearby. And the only thing that I would say about is that ground floor room, it's designated to be a utility room and a WC, but obviously it's actually in flood zone 3, which is the most severe flood zone, and obviously that ground floor room, if it is converted, isn't ever used as a habitable room. So because obviously that should be picked up by Dover District Council, but but it's not used as a habitable room. But I'd recommend it goes ahead.
It's used as a utility room.
If it's used as a utility room, I mean, it's down as a utility room, but I've been doing this for 17 years, and what they put on the plans doesn't always happen to what actually comes about. So.
I actually spoke to the builder on this and he showed me round.
Brilliant.
And they are planning to put a toilet in, if that's your concern. But what you did say, which won't surprise anybody, is a lot of other garages have already been converted and nobody's made a planning application.
You seconded it, Will?
Okay.
We have a vote on the in favour of it then? Planning application reference number 23/01/021 and 23/01022. Proposed erection of fire range to the front of property, location Route 2PA 47 New Street, Sandwich, CT London. I think this is where you get the planning application and the conservation application together.
Yeah, I'd like to thoroughly, strongly recommend this. I'm hoping our chair of the History Society will be the same, I'm not sure. But obviously this property used to have railings outside, and the other properties adjacent to it currently have railings as well. So I think this would be, I know the owner of the property has been spending quite a lot of money on the property to improve it. So I think it would be in keeping, and I think anything that reinstates Sandwich back to how it looked before, we should support that. So I'd recommend that it goes ahead.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, this property is actually set back further than the adjacent properties by about 6-7 feet. And there obviously were railings there. Adjacent properties downstream already have railings in them. As the member said, considerable amount of money has been spent as a side access, and they had to buttress up the wall and that sort of thing. And this would only just bring it back to the same, as it would provide a clear line along the street, basically, rather than this sort of
Gas set back in.
Yes, I think it depends very much on the character of the railings. The modern railings look quite out of keeping. I'm not suggesting that the owners are planning on it, but there is an example that they can follow, namely the railings outside 17 New Street, which is just along the street. Because it's a very prominent site on New Street, and it's obviously a very historic house.
Yes, 18th century, isn't it?
The date on the house is 1678, but it's obviously been much altered since then, but even so. So I'm in favour of railings, providing they are in character.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. At the moment though, the flagstones go right up to the building, so it's hard to distinguish the pavement from, there's no defensible space or anything. So I'm assuming they own the land in front of the property.
Yeah.
That's my only comment.
I was just going to add, if that's okay, Mr. Chairman, what Councillor Fortescue said on the planning application, they had actually put, I think it was 3 photographs of other properties, and they said these are the sort of railings that we would be looking to install. So they had the railings from adjacent properties, which they would use as an example to keep it uniform. So.
Who's looking at it?
Haven't got a second yet.
I'll second.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
All in favour of this, I think, yeah. So it is a street scene up, doesn't it? Okay, thank you. Planning application reference number 23/01006. Proposed erection of 2 metre high fencing to create private external space for the associated 7-unit location Wayfarers from Parks Road, Sandwich, CT 08.
Thank you. I'd sort of be against this. I think it's just too much, the fencing. If you've been around there. It's always been open, Wayfair has always been open plan, and a lot of the properties are open plan. So if you go around the corner into Hazelwood Meadow, you'll find the gardens in Hazelwood Meadow, all the fronts of the gardens and all that area is all open plan, and the properties opposite have got very low walls. This is going to be, you can see from the application that there's a red line. They've drawn a red line where they want the fencing to be, and
That's it there, isn't it?
yeah, that's it there. And there, but there was a red line on the online map. There's a red line right the way around the property. And the thing I'm worried about, this is adjacent to some. That's correct. Thank you very much, Councillor Marie. This is adjacent to one of our gems of Sandwich, which is St Bartholomew's Chapel. I understand it might be due to the usage of the property, because there may be people staying in this property that perhaps need privacy.
I think that's what it is.
But the only trouble is I'm totally against it being 2 foot high. I think they could put some other option in so it doesn't look too blatant. If you read the specification for the fencing, it's not even very nice. It's just close boarded fencing with concrete posts and concrete gravel boards. Well, that's not in keeping with a 14th century chapel. So I'm sorry, I'll be totally against this one. Another option needs to be.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm increasingly concerned about what's happening at Wayfair. As if you recall at the last council meeting, Councillor Chandler undertook to write to the town council about who this property was being leased to, whether it had been sold or let. We don't know anything about the proposed applicant. All I can find out is that it's a private company based in Northamptonshire with 2 directors. This planning application has an astonishing lack of detail. There's nothing in there. What do they mean by associated 7 units? There's no clarification or detail at all, so I don't think we can support this in any way, shape or form.
2 points. First of all, the tree warden comments, and I drove past it today, it looks as though some groundworks have already started, so I'm surprised nobody's following up on that. The second thing is, does the committee want to call this in so that it goes to full planning and not to a single officer?
We haven't got that now. It's
That's
over
a
Dover District.
That's a district council to call it in.
That's the Dover District
Yeah, that's
Council.
one of our councils to call it in.
Yeah. Mark Morehouse would call it in.
I'm happy to take that action away if that's what members agree.
I just want to make a comment. So obviously Wayfarers has been on the topic for many years in the council. The reason that the last plan application was a change of use. Obviously it was an old people's home run by KCC. This building is now going to be a home for autistic adults. My daughter's autistic. The way I look at it, the way I look at the fencing, yes, it's a bit goatish. However, regards to having fencing around, it will be their safe haven. It will be their safe spot, and it's in order for them to, it's their private area for them to relax, and in case they get overwhelmed with things like we don't do in a normal day-to-day life, but they can do. I do support this application to do it, but however, I don't support the fencing. That's the one thing I don't.
No, definitely. And I know, like you said, they do need their little refuge in their private space.
Yes.
But we're quite happy with your proposals, but not that type of fencing.
No, that's true. Oh, sorry, Chair. I was just going to add, so Mrs. Summerhayes is probably happy with this as well, is can we actually say about the issues that tree warden, because the tree warden has put in a very, very good report on this.
She again has made specific recommendations,
exactly.
but because it was going to be objected to, I wasn't sure whether to raise it or not.
But I think they need to be raised because, as Mrs. Summerhayes has said, the work has already started, and there could be root damage already to some of the grounds, to some of the roots of the trees, because you can see from the photographs that the tree warden's taken that there is extensive excavations already on the site. And just to add as well, with the, as Councillor Wiles quite rightly said, there's no detail So with the fencing, if the fencing comes to a tree, what they're going to do, is the fencing going round the tree, or is the tree coming down? So we need some explanations on this, but in the current state it's in, this planning application isn't suitable to be passed.
I think they've been busy putting new windows and doors in as well, haven't they? That's why there's probably a tractor to do.
Well, the new windows are already in. I've drive past it today. The windows are already in.
Yeah, I think that's why there's all the tractor.
And the inside works. That's why hence why the tracks there. The inside works are taking shape, and also they've dug a lot out. You see the plan of the 11 properties that are going to be in part of the area. But maybe it'd be an idea instead of is not so much defer it, but ask as a consultee for this. Is for the Town Council to ask one of our DDC councillors to call it in. So it goes to full planning.
Yeah. We'll take the tree report.
And then also you put the tree report with it.
Yeah.
Is that your proposal?
That is a proposal if everyone else is happy with it or reject it.
Yeah, I think that's in favour of that, yeah, I think they are.
Well, we can do both, we can object and ask for it to be called.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
So, sorry,
I'll
Councillor
propose
Reed,
that.
yeah, who's second?
I'll second it,
Thank
yeah.
you.
So it's got to be objected to
Yeah.
and called in.
Called in.
Yeah.
And the tree report to be taken into
Yeah,
consideration.
yeah.
Okay.
Can do the root damage,
Oh, that's right. In fact, sorry, I was just going to go forward, Mr. Chairman, on what Councillor Marie said. Obviously, we want this building in use
Very much so.
and for use for autistic children or adults. That is most important. So possibly, if the developers would like to come to the council and discuss what could be done,
Yeah.
then we would be happy to work with the developers so that perhaps part of it could be fenced off, or an alternative type of fencing could be used that would still give privacy but would look good in an area that's historically as sensitive as this is.
Yeah.
So.
Sorry, I agree with that, but going back to my point, yes, we need this facility for the client group that's been identified, but we don't know anything about the lease or
We don't.
what the terms of the lease are,
I think they bought it,
whether
haven't
they can sell it 5 years down the line
Yeah.
and it's lost. Are they a social housing provider? All these questions.
So I
I think
do.
they bought it.
So
we
it's
haven't
been.
had confirmation.
So the story is that it's been bought on proviso that they get planning applications to go through. However, if they don't, well, they've started already, so they must have bought it. It's all bought and paid for probably now. So that was the proviso a few months ago. It was bought with on the basis that planning permission was accepted. If it wasn't, obviously they would pull out. So. But they maybe as Mr. Mayor said, if we can get them in, they may be able to explain a bit more detail regarding the sale, who they are. I mean, obviously they're from a company up north, so we don't know. They probably don't know the ins and outs of the town. They don't know that it's a 14th century church going back.
No,
So
they won't. No, that's correct.
Yep.
Okay.
so
So
vote,
we
we
need
vote
to
for it.
vote on that.
Yeah, we're going to vote on that, yeah. Okay, all in favour of that, I think? We are.
Thank you.
Item 6, planning decisions. To receive and note latest decisions taken by Dover District Council on new planning applications.
Note the decisions, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
All in favour of that, we note the decisions? Yeah, okay. Yeah, so there's anything there. Yeah, I've got it there somewhere. Okay. Item 7. Street furniture applications. To receive and consider any application made to DDC in relation to a street furniture consent application under the Local Government Miscellaneous Provisions Act 1982. The Local Government Miscellaneous Provisions Act 1982, street furniture consent. Please note, none to consider at the time of issuing of this agenda. Okay. Item 8, licensing. To consider any licensing notice and issues received from Dover District Council, gambling policy, statement of policy and principles. Section 349 of the Gambling Act 2005 required the licence authority to publish a statement of policy and principle as to how it will exercise its functions under the Act. Although the policy is monitored and reviewed continuously by the licensing section, the Gambling Act 2005 also requires that the policy be formally reviewed every 3 years. It is now time for that formal review to be undertaken. A copy of the revised draft policy can be viewed at gambling dover.gov.uk. Consultation is taking place for 4 weeks. If you wish to make any comments, please email licensing@dover.gov.uk. Any representations received after 20th of September 2023 will not be able to be considered. If you wish to discuss this matter, please call the licensing team on 01304872295.
I was just going to propose, Mr. Chairman, that perhaps if councillors are able to read through the policy and check to see if there's any issues, and then bring those to the attention of the town clerk as necessary.
It was 20th, that wasn't it?
Yeah, before the 20th, yeah. But,
We don't have any gambling shops or casinos in South.
No,
I'm
no.
aware of.
No, we had 3 bookies at one time. Okay.
Except
So
not
that's
in
a
the
proposal.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. All in favour of that? If anyone's got any items about the gambling issue, tell the town clerk, which you can contact David. Item 9, enforcement. To consider any enforcement notices and issues received from Dover District Council, please note none to consider at the time of issuing the agenda. Item 10, correspondence. To receive and consider correspondence related to planning matters, including notification of appeals against refusal of planning applications.
So these 3 items are all correspondence that we've received for the Planning Committee. So the first one is about the Kent Minerals Site Plan, and it's a call for sites, the second call for sites for Hard Rock. This is a review of the Kent Minerals and Waste Local Plan, which would extend the plan period to 2039. Following a review of data on mineral reserves and sales across the country, there is a need to identify additional sites for the working of Hard Rock, in order that the plan can make adequate mineral provision over this period. So this was really for an information. If members had any comments, obviously the consultation or call for sites is open until 12th of October.
Yeah.
So that's the first one.
A-level geology. I don't think there's any hard rock.
I was just going to say, Mr. Chairman, I think just to note item A, because I don't believe we've got any sites for granite or basalt at all in this area. So.
And then the item B is the planning appeal. So this is the land south of Whitefriars Meadow. Erection of 3 number buildings containing 10 number apartments, commercial floor space with associated landscaping and open space. The appeal reference and the appeal start date was the 7th of July. The hearing will take place at Dover District Council offices, Whitecliffs Park, Whitfield. And the inspector appointed to decide the appeal is G. Chamberlain, and the hearing will open at 10 AM on the 7th of November. They currently anticipate 2 sitting days, and unless they're advised otherwise, the format of the event will be an in-person. If anyone wants to attend, they need to email planningappeals@dover.gov.uk. If you have already notified that you're attending, you don't need to do this again. Also, you need to provide an email address in the event that the hearing needs to move online and be virtual. So just to bear that in mind. If you wish to speak at the hearing, you should make yourself known to the inspector in the day, as the planning inspectorate will not respond to requests to speak at the event in advance of the hearing. You can also get a copy of one of the planning inspectorate's guides to taking part in appeals booklets from gov.uk, and the link is on this information for you. All documents are available on the website to view under appeal correspondence via the website at dover.gov.uk/planning. And you need to search using the reference of the planning application which is provided. The decision is expected to be issued on or before the 8th of December 2023.
I was going to say, Mr. Chairman, that I believe most of the councillors and co-optees in this room are probably aware of this document, so I believe we should note it. But I would ask that the town clerk is able to make sure that if it's not already done, that this appeal notice is published on our website, our notice boards, and more importantly, our new Facebook site. And I would ask that that's done as soon as possible, so that anybody that wants to attend can attend Dover District Council for this appeal and can speak as required on the day. That'd be my proposal.
Yes, you've got that. Okay. The last one is C-Link, the statutory consultation update. As you might be aware, National Grid Electricity Transmission, or NGET, is progressing plans for C-Link, a new underground subsea network reinforcement between Suffolk and Kent. They'd like to update on some of the latest engagement activity, whilst also looking to schedule further meetings with the Town Council as a consultee as we approach the next stage of consultation for C-Link. Earlier in the month, they distributed an update leaflet to all addresses who were in the non-statutory primary consultation zone, and this detailed ongoing surveys and engagement with statutory stakeholders as we continue and to refine and develop the proposals. Now, they're due to hold the statutory consultation where they will be present on refined proposals as well as the feedback received during the non-statutory consultation. This consultation is open for 8 weeks from the 24th of October until the 18th of December 2023. So there's an invitation to the briefing statutory consultation, and once they've commenced the statutory consultation, they would welcome an opportunity to meet with Town Council to discuss the refined proposals and answer any questions that the Council may have. They do expect to have a high number of stakeholders requesting a briefing during the consultation period, so they would be grateful if there could be a provision for some dates and times between the 16th of November 2023 and the 8th of December 2023 for either a virtual or in-person meeting. They also will be issuing further land interest questionnaires as part of their due diligence to identify landowners who may be affected by the proposals. There are further information that we've got the link for there. I did contact them as well because there is an opportunity to go to, let me get this right, virtual briefings. And the deadline was actually yesterday, but they have extended that until noon tomorrow if there's anybody that wants to attend a virtual briefing. And those virtual briefings, there's one on the 26th of September, 4 p.m. till 5 p.m, and a second one on Thursday the 28th of September, and again that's 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. So if anyone wants to attend either of those sessions, I can provide those details to the team there.
Unusual, that's Suffolk to Kent. Perhaps they come in on Sam's Day.
That's
the other
it.
two.
That's it.
Yeah.
I was just going to say that perhaps we could note this notice, but that also once again I'd just like to reiterate that I think it's important that all our residents in the Sandwich area are knowledgeable about this. So if the town clerk could put the information onto all of our media sites and notice boards. So I would actually ask if I could have the have we got to apply through you for the virtual session at all?
Yes, please. Yes, there's a deadline of noon tomorrow.
Noon tomorrow.
Yeah.
Did you send it to us?
Yes.
Thank you. You know, it doesn't mean more pineapples going up across the country if they're bringing it by Richborough.
Exactly.
I bet that's why they want to talk to us.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. Item 11. Verbal update by Dover District Councillors on matters relating to planning. No, nothing, David.
That's it.
Okay. Item 12. Date of next planning committee meeting, 11th of October 2023. Okay. Thank you for all coming. Any comments?
Meeting's
Meeting
closed.
closed at 7:09.